Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Rao starting my event for tonight. I've been pretty involved and busy with our projects this afternoon. I was creating a course called Servant Leadership in Fortune 500 companies. And I've been growing up with this concept ever since I was a child. And a lot of stories were there that were really helped me to run my corporation, which was HR Pulse MDPC, since 1997. We have established that. Before that, I was in the leadership position in the hospital and other places too. So I was familiar with the corporate culture in United States as to what kind of structure they had. They had this bossy, egotistical men. They were not in touch with their employees and all that. So we have seen that. And also there was a revolution with Japanese companies and their management have come to United States in late 80s and early 80s, I think. And they were really bringing out the culture where at least people of the same cadre, like a foreman is foreman and employees, middle manager, they were having lunch here in America. But then in there, the middle manager will have lunch with the people who are working under them, right? That kind of thing. So servant leadership was brought in even at that stage, but not really caught fire on that. But then as I looked into the ancient cultures, they had it almost everywhere. In the family, in the community, in the companies, or in the institutions that they had. It could be an institution of a king who really financed most of the economic activity. They also, even the king himself, worked as a servant leader for the people. That means he considered all the people are his children, and he has to rule them like that for their welfare, for their safety, for their thing, right? So that kind of thing was very, very prevalent, So it's a kind of so my friend Carlos is here. I'll ask him to come up. Hi, Carlos.
Hi, Dr. Rao. I saw you're transmitting both on this and Facebook Live.
Yeah, and also on the other channels too. Yeah, I always do this because more people will reach that.
Do it.
Different one iPad.
You started both at the same time.
Yeah. One iPad, one phone, and another what's called a Meta. I got a Meta. That's a very cute little thing, and you can take it and carry anywhere, and then your Zoom, your all these calls, they all come at the same time. So which is a nice thing.
Meta is software?
Meta, no, it's a Meta portal. They call it portal. You have not seen that? It's a very small TV-like thing, but you can carry it, but it has all the apps in there. Actually, they sent it to me, and then so I took it. It's only $60-70, I think. Suppose I'm doing yoga in the morning or in the evening, I change my venue. I can take this there, and then they can see me as I'm doing yoga. Zoom also comes on that.
So Meta is a device?
Yeah, it's a Meta portal, they call it. It's a convenient thing, Carlos. You can just take it and go. So.
I don't know what you're talking about, so I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a small box-like thing, and it acts like your computer or your transmission device. So Like, so,
I see. I just
yeah,
found it.
yeah,
So it's just another device.
yeah, it's a
Not
device.
sort of like,
It's
oh,
a,
very cool.
yeah, it's by the Meta, the Facebook people. And so it does come very well. I do a lot of meetings because sometimes I get occupied with my computer with so many other things going on. So I just carry this to other places and I can go outdoor and then sit down and do that too, you know.
Oh,
So
that's great.
yeah, it's a very cool thing. And also, you know what it does? It kind of focuses on you with Zoom also. So as I move it, computer moves, other people will see that I'm coming closer without me doing anything. The camera does it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So how are you, Carlos?
I'm doing well.
Uh,
Just the same old, working and I'm well.
Okay. See, these rooms I was doing for about, this is the 32nd day, I think, I have been doing this calm your mind, I have been teaching people just to adapt a simple process so that they can really calm their mind and instead of getting, agitated, irritated, or see this number of information pieces that come at us or the stimuli they are getting growing more and more with the technology improving. They're supposed to be helping us, but then people don't pay attention to the mind. So I'm teaching them a simple breathing exercise they can do every day in the morning and in the evening. First of all, you have to understand that when you get up in the morning, immediately don't get onto the bandwagon of thought and then go on thinking about things and all that. Give it a break, give it a moment of calm down, and then get yourself gathered in the present moment, and then after a while then you can go. So I call this exercise in awareness. Be aware and then use the thought. But now most of the people are really becoming the victims of excessive thought or information overload or multitasking and all of that. So they don't take time to relax. They don't take time to sometimes they don't because their mind running running, because we train the mind like that. So suppose somebody is doing something in a flow and in concentration, those people really enjoy life much more than this hurried, anxious, depressed, and going all over, right? So many people they scare away when we call about meditation and deep meditation and all that. But then, if we teach them how to be cool for a while and then how to really help themselves, that's much easier. That's why I started this room. And then I've been talking about further deeper things as the audience come and they pose questions. Uh, Obviously, you know that I'm big in the ancient wisdom. They had that lifestyle where they were always guarding mind with deeper meditation, going inward and all that. But that is also very important in modern life. For example, I can do so many things now mainly because I first calm myself and be in awareness. So mine is what's called meditative awareness. So I'm all the time kind of meditative in the present, in the moment, here and now. That is the one which really helps me sleep better, also think better, and also really there's so much more health benefits by allowing our thought to be under our control. You know, so that's what I was talking about, Carlos. What do you think about that?
Well, I've been um, studying you for a while now.
Yeah.
So, I'm very much in tune with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it myself. I used to I don't know, probably about 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
I used to let my mind sort of control me, and I was always, what you're saying, just constantly thinking and
Yeah.
How am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? I'd go to bed in a panic.
Yeah.
I'd wake up the next morning, and the first thing I do would be rush and start working and trying to get get on with my day with never giving myself a chance really to breathe.
Yeah.
And I was getting sick. My health was suffering. My relationship was suffering. And then I started meditating and was able to learn how to not focus on my thoughts. And it is like a superpower because being able to turn your thoughts off when you see yourself getting into one of these situations, where you're hyping yourself up or whatever. It's such an incredible tool, so.
Carlos, you used a very.
I've embraced that of not worrying and just, living in the moment and things are happening. I just got invited to submit a grant proposal for my greenhouse.
Very good. Very good. You used a good word, superpower. That's exactly what it is. You see, if the mind, if you understand, if you direct it, if you can have some kind of, some control over what you're thinking, actually, it's a power that can create happiness for you. Okay?
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize that you get to conduct your thoughts such a way that they can create your own nice brain. And then because of your thoughts, you secrete all these happy hormones. So not that you, because of the hormones are secreted prior to your happiness. No, because your thoughts are such a way and they secrete those hormones that influence that make you really, the happiness makes all this. And then it's a cumulative effect. It's a iterative effect. Okay? The more you think about it, the more you will create your own mind and all that. So that's why I'm kind of importance for this mind, because without the mind control, people are going really bonkers and then take medications, they take alcohol, drugs, and all that. So for me, none of that. We don't need it. The cleaner we can keep it, everything, the better it is for us. Actually, I was doing a project. I think you will see that. This is science of happiness. Is the happiness outside in the objects, or can you be happy within you without any outside objects? This is the ancient way. So I got hold of that, and then I was able to get into that kind of state. And then you're always subjectively happy. That they call ananda. Okay, that's the word that they use in Sanskrit, ananda. Say, suppose you are happy because of the things, like you bought a car, you bought a house, you bought something like that. There's nothing wrong about it. Only thing is, it's not going to be there forever. Whereas this subjective sense of happiness, subjective sense of joy, and that is really permanent in the sense it lasts longer, it fulfilled and all that. So you lead a life basically in bliss. That was possible with the deeper understanding of the mind and its operations and what is beyond the mind. That is what people like Buddha, Christ, or Gandhi, so many people that went beyond the mind and established themselves in that sense of self, which is really wonderful. But what I'm talking about here is a very basic thing, though. I'm talking about modern man who is exposed to a lot of stimuli, a lot of information, not able to really control the chatter within our mind, right? Modern life gives whichever corner of the world you go, this is everybody has a phone in their hand. And then they kind of really can't be without it. And then kids are really got to the phone, and then more information comes into them than when we were growing up. Okay, that's another thing too. And that's a concern to Carlos. A lot of these teenage girls seeing the Instagram and all that, they did a study on these girls. It seems they were committing suicide, and the number of suicides went from 189% during the time from 2014 onwards. That's very scary, but I don't want to really scare people. But then that's a fact. We know it as a fact that was going on. Kids are getting more attention deficit, and then kids are thinking of things that they don't need to, and that make them sad, that make them anxious, that make them really not able to focus on anything. And all these are pretty bad effects of the not able to understand the technology and not able to use it properly. You know, so that's why I thought I will start this room and do that. But actually, the meditation I talk about is much much deeper. And I know that is not for everybody, but people who are interested, we can always take them to much much better depths. And then your mind is very important in the overall health and wellness. And that's why yogic people were living longer, and they had wellness in the true sense. And also, they had abundant energy. And they did not have this chronic disease like we have now, because their lifestyle is one meal a day, and their lifestyle is walk all the time and then keep quiet. You see, and then they go into this states of consciousness where they understand much deeper. And out of that, they created arts, music, art, literature, singing. So many things have come out of that quiet mind. So it's very important to understand what does it mean to calm the mind. What does it mean to really be beyond the mind and be in that bliss. You know, does that make any sense to you, Carlos?
Everything you say makes sense to me, Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, this is very important, no? These days, where I see the other side of it in the patients, in the friends, and everybody that's coming up. For example, something happens, they lose it, and then they go out of it, and then they get really upset from all that, right? You don't need to. You can be calm and quiet, and then do the stuff too. That's another important aspect of being calm in the mind. So I was telling them some scientific facts. For example, you are getting up in the morning. That is the time when you really can have a lot of mind things going on, and you are vulnerable to get into this chatter and then fortify it. Also, the same thing after you come home a full day and you're trying to sleep, that is when you get to do a little bit of cleaning up the mind and go to sleep. So that's why I tell them, take some time in the morning after you wake up, and take some time before you fall asleep. And then what you do is go to the same place in your house or office, and then maybe it's the same time better too, as much as possible. And then sit down, basically sit down, keep your feet on the floor, keep your back erect, and then take deep breaths in and out. And also feel the air coming and touching the nose and going in and out. And also have a sense of, I'm not just this body and mind, but I'm beyond this, that blissful self also. Once you understand that and then doing that daily, that becomes a very, very good habit. It replaces the chattering mind. And that is why you will enjoy things much more when you are in that, rather than just talk about it. Like I see these people come to the vacation, they will be worried about what is happening at the office, what's happening in the other. Say just they're worrying, it doesn't mean it's going to get solved. But these days, people are doing business on the vacation also. So they don't even enjoy the spots. Those kind of things I'm talking about. Because when I take a vacation completely, then we enjoy the complete. And also, I see that we don't go and see so many places. We just want one place that is going to be relaxing and revitalizing us. And also, if I have some meaningful, nice time, quality time with the family. Otherwise, we can just have some pleasure, some things, and come out. So the other thing I do every day, I think I have told you this, Carlos. I vacate my mind every day. That means I take vacation every day from my mind. Did I tell you about that?
No.
Okay, that's what I do. Okay, J. Krishnamurti, he's one of the world's foremost sages. but he's not religious in the sense. He's always talking about a modern man controlling the thought and all that, right? He talks about ending of thought. That means understanding the how thought goes. And then he said one day, vacate the mind. If you want to go on vacation, vacate the mind, you know. And then they said you can do every day. So ever since I caught that, and then I do empty after I'm done with the patients and other things, and I just completely vacate the space of the mind. So it's like a blissful thing. Once you get into that, then whatever it's like a suppose you're an artist, you're doing something, you go into a trance, and then you use your all your abilities to express yourself in that art or in that whatever expression you have. So, like for example, we have surgery. For example, the surgeon do not want to be taken away from what he's doing, and he want to be in a flow state so that he won't feel. Sometimes surgery. I'm a medical person, right? But when I was getting trained in India, I had to do the surgical rotation, and I got famously with a couple of my professors. So they always wanted me in the theater. So at the time, we used to call gastrojejunostomy. It's a surgery that is done because of the peptic ulcer. At the time, they didn't have these medications. So that surgery used to take 4 to 6 hours. But we were so focused in flow, it didn't seem like that it took that long, but we opened the abdomen, we kind of did what we had to do, and then sutured it in layers and all that, right? It was physically very demanding too. You get to sit down, you have to stand up and do everything, right? But that flow state that we were going into with surgery, each one, because when we are doing that, we didn't have anything. And later on, when I was in the medical rotations in New York, we had to work in the cardiology and all. So there we had to go and do some, all the cardiac procedures that they do. We had to assist them and all that. So that was also very, very flowy state. So they experienced that. So if you're religious or not, what it is you focus and you learn to focus and do things, and they go better and they're joyful and they don't take much energy because you are not thinking multiple things. That's why this calming the mind in the morning and during the day maybe a couple of times and in the night before you go to sleep is important. Okay, does that seem important to you, Carlos?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you are focusing on those wonderful what do you call them, the thing you are building now?
Oh, right now I'm getting I'm going to put in for a National Science Foundation grant.
Yeah.
For my greenhouse.
Yeah.
Where I grow fish.
Yeah.
Plants and mushrooms inside of the greenhouse.
Yeah.
And I do that all year round.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a grant in order to do research and development, to measure different components, because I'm the first one to integrate fish, plant, and mushroom production.
Yeah.
Inside of a single aquaponics system. So I can't get conventional financing because, conventional venture capitalists, they only invest in things that are already proven and make money. Since this is unproven and hasn't made money, my only access is research and development grants from the federal government, which is perfect. It's exactly what I need right now. I need to do some research and development and build a prototype. And then we can go after what's called phase two funding. And if you're successful with phase one, at that point you've proven yourself, and then it's easy to bring in the next round of money, which is the big round.
That's wonderful, Carlos. That's really wonderful. I'm glad that you are doing those greenhouses. I was very fascinated by that when I heard your presentation and all that, because it can help so many people and the planet, right? That's why I was so excited when I saw that. It's a good work,
And my mental health, I go in there and I I started doing some bonsais.
Yeah.
I'm getting into bonsai now.
Yeah.
So I've got a little jacobota tree,
Yeah.
which is a tree from Brazil.
Yeah.
It grows fruit on the trunk of the tree. The whole entire tree gets covered with little fruits that are the size of grapes.
I see.
And they're very delicious fruit, but it's a very unusual tree because it flowers on the bark.
Okay. I thought when you said bonsai, it is from the Japanese, that I know that they shape it according to the picture that they have inside their head, and then that becomes a meditative experience. You saw that Karate Kid, see the old one, and
yeah.
in that old man is from Okinawa, Japan. So he shows the kid about that, and he says, "Don't think, just go with your image." That is, and this is the key in any artistry. If you are internally seeing it and it comes out, that becomes a very, very good. So that's what they were talking about there. So this is a different tree you're talking about from Brazil, right? I never heard the fruit from the trunk.
Yeah, no. I when I saw that, I said, "How cool!" It grows fruit from the trunk.
Yeah.
And since I have a greenhouse, it's a plant that grows in Brazil.
I see.
So it wants sort of it can't handle extreme summers like here in the deserts or whatever.
Yeah.
But since I have a greenhouse, I'm able to grow tropical plants.
Tell us more about the greenhouse for the people who are in the room. They may not heard. I know your greenhouse. Describe, Carlos, what it is.
Yeah, I'm an electrical engineer, but I'm also an inventor.
Yeah.
And about 12 years ago, I started learning about aquaponics. And aquaponics is where the fish water is used to water the plants.
Yeah.
And then after the plants take in the nutrients, the water is returned to the fish tank. And now the fish water is clean, just like in nature. So it's a closed loop system where the fish water feeds the plants clean the water for the fish, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
So I built that, and I put it inside of a greenhouse based on a Chinese design. It's called a Chinese solar greenhouse.
Yeah.
And it's a type of greenhouse that can operate even in the middle of winter. So I put my little aquaponics system in there. And then later on, I realized that the reason the greenhouse works the way it does is because half of the greenhouse is shaded.
Yeah.
So half of my greenhouse, I couldn't grow anything in it because it was dark. And that's when I started experimenting with growing mushrooms in the dark side of the greenhouse, and it worked very, very well.
Very good.
So now I have a system that can integrate fish, plant, and mushroom production.
Yeah.
So if you're, so it gives you everything you need to survive, between the fish, the plants, and the mushrooms. You can have a complete diet. And if you're vegan, you can grow koi fish that sell for about $100 a fish when they get bigger. So vegans actually will make more money than non-vegans because you can sell tilapia for $3-4 a pound, or maybe $6-7 a pound. Koi fish sell for $10,000 to $20,000 a fish when they're big and beautiful. So I think what I'm going to do after this season, where right now I have catfish, I think next year I'm going to switch over to koi fish. And I've also become more vegan, by the way. When I started growing my own food and harvesting my own fish, it really made me realize the value of life, and how we need to be, what's the right word? The zen of food, right? The zen of everything.
Yeah.
When you eat a mushroom or you eat a plant or you eat an animal, it's giving up its life for your sustenance.
Yeah.
And I believe this is where saying grace before meals, I think this is where these traditions came from.
Exactly.
Is the fact that these species are giving up their life energy in order for us to survive.
No, this was a prayer in ancient times also, Carlos, that you always say thank you for the life that is giving its life to sustain your life, and also further explanation is there is what is called eternal energy or eternal God, that is reflected in all things. So even food also is considered as God or as Brahman. Brahman they call it, Annam Parabrahma. That is a Sanskrit word. They say that this food is the God and that is everything. So you are very grateful that you are able to take that as what is called prasad. That means that is given from the God. What they do is they in India they have this tradition. They cook food and they don't eat the food first. They go and put it in front of the Lord, whichever Lord that they are worshipping, and then they kind of take it as His gift to them or His blessings to them. That is they call prasad. So that is extended like whatever comes your way in life is like prasad. That is prasad buddhi. That means prasad buddhi means understanding and intellect and all that, right? So if you have that kind of attitude, like whatever happens in my life is a gift from the God, then you can handle even negative things very well.
Well, I'm glad you said that because we've had discussions about
Yeah.
ancient religions and things like that. And, something that's very interesting that you say about that is that once you realize that everything is connected, right?
Yes.
It's all connected. And everything has consciousness. It's a different level of consciousness. There's rock consciousness, there's earth consciousness, there's mushroom consciousness, there's human consciousness. And once you realize that it's all connected, right?
Yeah.
That's when you start realizing that there is no good or evil, and I always used to wrestle with the concept of good and evil because you've heard this before, right?
Yeah.
You hear people say, if God really existed, why would He allow these horrible things to happen?
Yeah.
Well, the point is that it's all related. It's the things that happen that when people have bad karma or bad conscience, they're not evolved yet. They teach us how not to behave.
Yeah.
So even evil serves a purpose because it shows you what not to do.
Yeah.
When you see somebody being greedy and treating their family wrong and being a bad person, instead of hating that person, you can understand that they're kind of a karmic infant. Their consciousness hasn't evolved yet.
Yeah. I'll give an insight.
You learn something from them.
Yeah, Carlos, I'll give you insight on the consciousness. What it is from the modern consciousness scientists versus ancient rishis who explored this consciousness. Their contention is consciousness is everything, and out of consciousness, everything manifests, right? So once you understand that consciousness is within you, that life force or the conscious being, then body and mind becomes as manifestations, right? And that's why it's much easier to really deal with something like a temporary body and mind. And the death also becomes like a transition. It doesn't become the end,
And it brings great joy, doesn't it, Dr. Rao?
Security.
Because, many people fear death and they worry about what happens after they pass. But there was a saying from Marcus Aurelius that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
And it said,
I have
not the exact words, but it's kind of like this. It says, I find it funny that people are afraid of death.
Yeah.
But they're not afraid before they were born. And you think about it, you were not born much longer than you were alive. And of course, it depends on the species. We happen to live, 70, 80, if we're lucky, 100 years or so. Yeah. You got trees that live 500, 600 years, or 1,000 years. You got turtles that live, 150, 200 years. Yeah. So everything is relative to your own, time span. Yeah. But the bottom line is that you are not alive much, much longer than you ever are a manifestation of whether you're a fly or a human or whatever. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting when you think of it that way. And also when you realize that your consciousness does survive
Yeah.
this particular instantiation,
Yeah.
there's
a
it
deep,
brings you joy, right? Because
yeah,
you know
it does.
that no matter what happens, no matter what your station in life, no matter what is happening to
Yeah.
you, it's part of the process.
Exactly.
You know,
That's what exactly they said.
part of the process.
They said about what is called existence, consciousness, and the bliss. They are all rolled into one. Okay. That existing consciousness is forever, and that itself is the, blissfulness, right? So once you understand station there, then there is a permanence and there is a further fulfilled consciousness, right?
Yeah.
That fulfillment is so real, and that is the aim of ancient cultures to actually, as a human being, you have this ability to think past and future, but also really feel who you are. So once you want to station yourself, and that becomes your perspective. And if you look at everything with that perspective of Carlos has this energy, and then I have this energy, all the plants have energy, they all are in one energy. This is what physics has come to that now, So
this is the beauty of it, and I think we've had deep discussions about this, which, by the way, these are the interesting questions, aren't they? What happens after we die? Does consciousness survive the human biology? These are the important questions.
Yeah.
And, I've always been a skeptic in the sense, I haven't been faithful in the sense that I really don't believe in faith, blind faith.
Yeah.
But as I started studying quantum mechanics and the duality and the superposition of particles, etc., I came to the conclusion, that consciousness does survive. It's not a biological thing. That there's all knowledge, all information, which you could say all consciousness, and it's all connected. It's all connected, and we return back to that.
Yeah, that's they called.
Which gives you joy, right? Because even if Dr. Rao, you were to pass tomorrow, or I were to pass tomorrow, I used to be, how do I put it, like, when my son went outside, I would always be like, oh my gosh, he could get hurt, he could die. I used to worry, And then finally, when I started realizing that we're all connected and that this is just a temporary version, it brought me joy, because now I know that even if my son were to pass before me, that it's not the end, and it brings you a certain level of joy, right? To just not have, to know, yes, I would mourn my son dying. Obviously I would, I would mourn very heavily, like any other human would.
Actually,
but the knowledge that it's not the end, it's just hard to explain. It just gives you a certain.
Listen to this explanation. This explanation is one of the aims of the life is kind of having this liberation from the limiting thought, limiting in the sense that you said, I was afraid that he's going to die or something like that, right? Those are limiting thoughts, thinking that this is permanent body and mind, but then really missing out what is permanent, which is our inner life force, energy, or Atman, or whatever you call it, right? So what the ancients did was they set 4 aims in life. Somebody can be doing some just accumulation of wealth, or just earning money and all that. That's one aim. But that is limiting. After a certain time, I've seen people who are millionaires, they feel empty. They don't feel satisfied with the money. That's a fact, right? And then the same with the desire and the pleasures and all that too. That's the second aim. But you can be.
If I can interrupt you, Dr. Is that not because you can never be satisfied with material things?
Exactly.
No matter what you get, there's always something else.
Yeah. It's like
chase material things, you will never, by definition.
Yeah, it's called hedonic treadmill. That means you get on it, it will go to anywhere, but you'll be walking on it like that, So whatever you get, you still want more. Exactly. That's what. That's why it is not fulfilling forever. Whereas you want to do this money earning or desires in a rightful way, and that rightful way is the third aim people have in life, right? But then after a while, after a certain lifespan, life experience, people want to have more. And then they said there is a fourth aim, which is this forever fulfillment that is within us as the force of God or force of nature, force of life, whatever you call it, it is there. Your sense of that being, you can feel it. You always say, Carlos, maybe aging now, or Carlos, who was a child, feels the same sense of yourself even now. That's not like our ego, but that is beyond that.
I have a question about that because,
Yeah.
And I've heard many people say this before.
Hmm.
I don't feel any different
Yeah.
than when I was 3 years old.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I feel like the exact, like I remember when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I remember adults would treat me like an infant.
Hmm.
And I kept saying to myself, I know what they're saying. Why do they treat me like I don't understand what
I
really felt like a man trapped in a boy's body. I don't know how else to explain it.
No, that's correct. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I feel like the exact same little boy.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
I have not.
Yeah. You see, you may feel like your body and all these things are there, but then your sense of self is always the same, right? So that is exactly what I'm saying, because once you have really understood your real self, you know, and then that is beyond this egoic thinking or personality and all. Those are things that we learn and then we think we are. That is the mistaken identity of who we really are. That is ego. So you are exactly right. When you're 3 years old and here now, that sense of self is the same thing. You know, the problem is to be that is the problem, because superimposed on this, what we learned about ourselves, this all this chatter, all these conclusions, concepts, and all those things, they're dominating. That's why they said, what you are, you will get. That means that sense of self. What you are not, your body and mind, you will lose. That means you don't identify with that. That becomes so much different, that perspective. If you look at everybody, like for example, for me, the real saving grace is I started to look at my patients with the sense of oneness, where they are, their sense of being, my sense of being is all one consciousness. And once I feel that, all the divisions, race or nationality or economic status, whatever identify with this mental habits, ego, they all fall off, Carlo. That's why I can relate to you at the being level. Did you ever feel that I was separating you in any way? I was always inclusive because we are all one.
Dr. Rao, I consider you a very, very close friend.
Yeah.
That I've never met in person.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting that you can develop a relationship.
Yeah.
Online. But no, I think what you teach and the enlightenment and the wisdom and what is really happening with most humans that are just in their minds the whole entire time. There's an incredible sculpture that I saw. I don't know where I saw it. I think it was, I forget, but it shows this man with a regular sized body, right?
Yeah.
And his head is so heavy, it's laying on the table, but it's like 5 times the size of his body.
I put that post. I think you liked it and you sent me a message also.
Oh, was that you? Okay. Yeah. Where some people are so heavy in their thoughts that's all they are.
Yeah, that's the representation. Yeah, that's the information overload. I put the slide there like that. The whole head is on the cart and then the body is a punitive. That is a modern man's status now. Yep. You know what? Eckhart Tolle, Carlos, Eckhart Tolle, he's a modern man. He writes about this enlightenment in his.
Eckhart Tolle?
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle.
Oh yeah, I know him. He's the remote viewing guy. I'm very familiar with him.
Yeah, he's a very nice guy. He talks about now and all that, but he wrote about enlightenment, a saying that I want to say here now. Is regaining the memory of being, the being I'm talking about, regaining the memory of being, and abiding in the feeling realization, not the thought, but the feeling that you feel yourself and you realize your real self.
Like when you look at it, an interesting example. I've read some stuff about Buddhism, of course,
Yeah.
Hinduism, etc.
Yeah.
And they say, when you look at a dog, right?
Yes.
And it's sitting there in the backyard, it is not thinking. It's just sitting there,
Yeah.
being a dog.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they're 100% in tune with their environment.
Exactly. Exactly.
They're just sitting there, just taking in all that sensory data, and that's the flow state that that we've talked about before.
Yeah.
When I get in, for me to get into that state, I clear my mind of all thoughts.
Yeah.
And I just focus on the one thing that I'm working on, whatever it is.
Exactly. That's what.
And it's not even thinking. I don't know how to explain it. You're not even thinking. It's like coming to you.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. It's like the information is just getting downloaded without you even having to think about it.
Yeah.
And when I can get in those states, I can do the work of two men. When I've done it before, where in 4 hours I'll do 8 hours worth of work.
Exactly.
It's very draining, though. It's very, very
that
draining.
Is the flow state, because there are no extraneous thoughts. What you are doing, you are completely immersed in it. So your mind is silent, but your body is working in union with what you are doing. And that's why the flow state. Actually, most of the time you can be like that. See, I see patient after patient, maybe sometimes 17, 18 patients a day, right? But then each patient is like a flow state experience. So at the end of the day, you have not really expended any energy. So I call this ever renewing energy. That can happen, but then we interfere with unnecessary thoughts and then rob that energy. You see? That's right.
Notice that it works well for me is like I can get into this extreme focus mode,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I notice when I get into that focus mode, my brain waves change into theta for some weird reason. I get into a theta wave-like state when I'm in that deep focus mode.
Yeah.
And it is, I am using a lot of energy. Your brain uses 20% of your energy.
Yeah, most of the time. That's see.
And but I can only do it for so long, and then I need to take a break, like go in the greenhouse and do something that's completely, thoughtless, but I don't know how to explain it. Just where I just go into the greenhouse and I just, I water the plants, I look at the mushrooms, I just enjoy the greenhouse without having to put any.
There is a simple word for this, Carlos. It is called awareness. You are not in thought, you are in awareness. That's what I'm always telling about people. Be in awareness in the morning and continue that. That means you are attentive to whatever you are doing. But what happens is, the moment we go to that, we get so many other thoughts. That happened, this happened, that. Like, I will give an example. We were in what is the beautiful Rocky, that in Arizona, so we were there, and then we were watching that wonderful formation of hills, and there's so much glowing happening and all that, right? So we were really admiring that. Other people just come and take a look and say, okay, well, let's go and eat this and then go away. And that is really not being one with the nature and not being attentive to what is in front of you, but then bringing your own thought that is going on in the past or in the future. That's why you always miss what is in front of you.
Right. And all that other stuff is wasted energy, isn't it? If you're not aware and in the moment.
Yeah, big time waste.
You're not being as efficient as you can be in the moment or in life in general, I would think.
Exactly.
Then you just walk around saying, oh, I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And then you can't even enjoy your own greenhouse.
Yeah.
Right? You go in your greenhouse and you're thinking about 10,000 other things.
Yeah.
How can you enjoy the fish? How can you enjoy the mushrooms and the plants?
Exactly. You're not in touch with them.
Full awareness.
See, there is something a sage said. It's not the amount of work that is the problem. You can do that, but the problem is this intruding thoughts extraneous to the activity that you are doing. That one takes you away from the moment, either to the past or the future. That is supposed to be useful things and all that, but then we have become such a way, all these things have become unconscious thoughts, and then they go on fortifying themselves, and then they come when you are not ready for them. So that's why being in the moment, consciously thinking, that means you are in awareness, is important. That's why I talk
You
about.
taught me, which is shutting your mind down.
Yeah.
Well before you go to sleep.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I used to I'd be reading technical things and scientific things.
Yeah.
And then trying to go to sleep. And very, very difficult. So now I've been sort of winding down,
yeah.
Getting myself sort of wound down, so that when I finally go to the bedroom,
yeah,
it's for sleep, and my sleep is slowly improving, Dr. Rao. I still have a ways to go.
Yeah.
But little by little, my sleep is improving.
The trick is, Carlos, mind will calm down itself, but you got to do something else. What it is you establish yourself in that self we talked about, in that being. So abide in that being and then go to sleep. Then you are not going in thought. That's the trick. But a lot of people they think just calming the mind is enough. No, there are buried thoughts, there are subconscious thoughts, there are so many things that are hidden within us that they come out. But on the other hand, if you can stay in yourself, and then thought automatically stops down. You don't have to make a effort to stop the thought, but once you find your real self, then thought automatically ceases. That's the secret. This is advanced meditation technique called Mouna.
And of course, I'm trying to undo many, many years of conditioning.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Where I would go to bed.
No,
and that's when I would start thinking about things. Like, oh, I got to pay my mortgage. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do that. Oh, I got to, oh.
You know what?
No wonder I couldn't sleep.
Carlo, understand.
How do you sleep when you got that many thoughts in your brain?
Yeah. Understand this, what I'm going to say about neuroplasticity. Then it will make a lot of sense for you. See, when you were thinking about those things before you may not be aware that, I should be thinking only what I want to do now, So you allow thoughts to go around your mind so many times so that they form their own neuronal path. Right? And then they're going into subconscious, forming a groove.
And not only that, a neural path that's linked to going to bed.
Yeah. No, your thought repeated unconsciously makes a path, makes a groove for itself in the mind, physically also, right? So that's such.
It was not only doing that, but also triggering at night when I was supposed to be resting. Going into those thoughts.
Exactly. That's why
a double whammy.
No, that's why what you do is you don't want to allow this unconscious thought, but be in conscious thought. What you want to intentionally think.
Oh, I've done that. That works very, very well. What I've been doing, besides what you told me, to write down things that I'm looking at. Always money. So every night I take $1 sign, I write on a piece of paper, and I tear out the third in the trash. And then what I start doing is I start meditating on the things that bring me joy. Like thinking about my greenhouse and the fish and the mushrooms. And when I can do that, I don't, those other thoughts, in other words, like you said, I'm having conscious, beautiful thoughts. My mushrooms, my beautiful life, my kids, the beautiful life that I have that I need to be grateful for. And when I'm able to do that, I can fend off the demons.
This is why
are those thoughts that creep in and like, oh, you need money. How are you going to pay this? All those thoughts that can come in.
This is why awareness is really taught by me, because you want to be in awareness of everything that's going on within your life and moment by moment. So this is called moment to moment awareness. That's how you live. But right now what is happening is we live in thought. Touch the awareness, no way, nobody touches the awareness. But then once you've made this a practice and then you are in awareness, that means whatever you are doing, give your complete attention.
And it is such a nice feeling to be able to walk.
Yeah.
With no thoughts, just being fully aware.
Exactly. That's it.
Because you are in a superhuman state at that point. You're taking in all the information without a thought. It's just there. You're just actually being.
It's very
whether you're walking or you're gardening or whatever, you're just being, and it's such a beautiful.
It
feeling.
It is peace itself.
To think and
it is.
Worry.
It is peace itself, happiness itself.
It is. Now, let me ask you a question. How do we deal? We're all going to get old. We're all going to get sick, and we're all going to die, right?
Yeah.
That's a given, correct?
Yeah.
How do we deal with that as we get older and older? Because I guess, eventually you start, your body starts breaking down, of course, like any other thing, right?
There is a way to keep the
deep question. I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, it's a. It's
how
about.
do you deal with getting old and just more things hurt as you get older?
I will tell you what Buddha said about this.
What do you say?
Somebody came and asked him, "Hey, we know that you were a prince at one time, and you wanted to understand the suffering. You saw all this. Somebody getting sick, somebody getting old, somebody dying. These three events you saw, and then you set out to say, this is suffering, I want to end the suffering, and then you came out. And now all these years later, you got the enlightenment and you're teaching us a lot of things. But what happened? You still are getting sick, you're getting old, and you're going to die. How did you, overcome suffering? Then he says, look, all these things like from the nature, okay, plant grows up and then decades later it will go down like that, right? Everything that is born is going to die, and that's the fact of life, nature, right? But then those are the things that are coming at you, the external events or internal events are coming at you. But how you react depends your suffering. If you react very, very badly, like thinking, oh, I should not die, I'm going to stay here forever, and that's why I'm going to be very depressed because I know I'm going to die or I'm going to have this disease and all. So instead of really taking that natural as natural, you want to impose something from your own to that. That means you have reacted to that. Okay. How much you react depends upon how much suffering you will get. So he was not reacting at all to all those things. He gracefully accepts them, and then he gracefully grew old and then passed away too. So I see patients, a lot of patients, some people react very badly, some people with equanimous and all that. So in life, the first arrow, which is the outward events, will come to us. But we put a second arrow in us by our own reaction. So all you can do is with all these spiritual practices, understanding, you can limit that second arrow, which you yourself are producing. Then natural events happen, and then you take it like that, and then you will be peaceful while you are living and peaceful while you pass away.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. That's the fact of life, right? If you look at it, we can see that is really true. So this I remember every time somebody comes to me and says, oh, I'm suffering and all this, then where is the suffering? What is giving suffering, if you understand? Actually, so one guy came and abused Buddha at one time. And he was abusing him, saying, oh, you're taking all these young women, not young women, young men, and making them monks, and they're not producing the society, that kind of thing. He abused him like anything. And then he actually spits at him and then goes away. And the Buddha doesn't shake, doesn't do anything. He is not reacting at all. So when the other guy says, how come you are so silent, that guy is abusing you so much? Then he said, if you don't accept something, that won't become yours. His insults and all that I didn't accept, then I didn't react, then they don't become mine. So
Marcus Aurelius addressed
Yeah.
pain and suffering. He died. I forget how old he was, but he had a rough life.
Yeah. I have his book, Carlos. It's called Meditations.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he had been ill most of his life.
Yeah.
And he said something that was very interesting to me in one of his quotes. He said, the nice thing about pain, right?
Yeah.
Extreme pain lasts for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And dull, so there's extreme pain and then there's dull pain. But the point being is that extreme pain is limited in duration. I guess it's probably because the human body can only take so much extreme pain before it just, kills the biology.
Yeah.
But I found it interesting that he showed the dichotomy that extreme pain is over quickly, relatively speaking. And the other pain is something that you just deal with. It's just you. I guess you were saying that you don't give it. What did you say earlier? You don't acknowledge it.
Yeah, you don't allow it.
Being.
Yeah.
It's part of being.
Yeah.
And I remember when I had my shoulder surgery done, the first couple of days after the surgery, I wanted to die.
Yeah.
I have a high pain threshold. I really, really do, and I'm not just saying that.
Yeah.
But the pain was so extreme that I had to take
medications.
The Vicodin or whatever the hell they gave me, the opiates. I took them because it literally was the only thing that would allow me to even have. I couldn't sleep, but at least to be able to lay down without crying. Constantly. And during that time, I was like, I was thinking I'd rather be dead. If this went on forever, I would rather be dead, right? Because if you're going to be in that kind of pain the rest of your life, what's the point of living? But it only lasted a few days.
There
and then
is
it turned into this dull, constant pain.
There is something about
actually turned into no pain at all. Now I don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah. See, as a doctor, I've seen so many patients with pain, right? But also, pain as an issue is a medical issue or whatever is an issue for us doctors, right? Because so many people have chronic pain. But then, one of the oncologists, we were at a pain conference, at a big conference, right? And he came and he said, most of the pain that people imagine that they have is 75% is their imagination of what is going to hurt me. Like, it's going to come on and I'm going to go take it. That's more than actual real pain. Yeah. But the thing is, if you are not allowed to develop your pain threshold, like you must have bore a lot of pain to develop that kind of high threshold, right? But a lot of cultures, a lot of people don't allow patients to develop the natural pain threshold to be high. That's why when I was in India, a lot of people put up with a lot of pain because they don't have medications and they don't have access to they don't have choice. But then they also this thing, okay, they said, okay, whatever the God has given us.
It's almost like it's the difference between training your body for handling pain versus it's almost like germs, isn't it? Right? If people aren't exposed to germs, it's not a good thing because their biome never builds. Right? Their own internal mechanisms never build up. And I imagine the same thing applies with pain. If people have pain and they're given a drug,
it does.
Every single time they have the slightest pain.
Exactly. That's what I'm taking.
We're going to develop a tolerance to pain.
Yeah. You see, in the hospital, what happens is these nurses, they think pain is bad, so they start to give, even with a small pain, big drugs. And then the body gets used to that, and then it kind of loses the pain threshold. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's why if you kind of raise people or kids and all that with other measures that can deal with the pain and not taking the medication, they are better off, So in addiction, that's what I use when people come to me with addiction. That's what I use with them to show them where the mind is playing that kind of thing, and then getting control of that mind A lot of people cut down the medication quite easily, you know. And
I
then
noticed we've had some people in the room, and I apologize for hogging your room, Dr. Rao.
no, that's okay. I called a couple of them, but they did not come. So
Okay,
so,
okay, that's fine.
but if
Because
they
I
want to,
noticed we have,
yeah, they can always raise the hand and come. And so I think I see somebody. I can ask her to come. Because I invited a couple of people, and then they did not come. So I thought we'll
oh no,
see.
no, I just, sometimes I when I'm hosting a room, I forget.
No, I did
I
not.
focus so much on whoever I'm talking to that sometimes I'll miss people in the audience.
No, I
But
did
I know
not.
you're not like that. You've always been very
Yeah,
good.
no, I invited everybody, but then one guy, Leo, somebody came and he wanted to come, but he's like argumentative. That's why I did not allow him to come up.
Oh gosh,
No, I'm with
some
the
people
room.
are disruptive. I understand.
I'm with the room. And the other thing, this is called what happens is a lot of people, they may not want to come and talk to me here, but then even one person comes, I take the discussion deep so that all the people who are listening, they send me DMs later on saying that uh, all that happens, you know. So
Well, whoever's in the audience, Dr. Rao is one of my favorite humans on earth. He's a medical doctor, and he's also an expert in ancient wisdom and ancient knowledge. Do you read Sanskrit, Dr. Rao? Or
yeah, Sanskrit.
You can read Sanskrit?
Yeah, a lot of Sanskrit.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard it's very difficult to learn Sanskrit.
Yeah, I'm not an expert or anything, but I can understand a lot of things. And then while I was learning this ancient wisdom, I had to know Sanskrit to understand the legitimate, real meaning, not translated. You know, that's why I always look for the trans. You know what? Is the Sanskrit, even one letter makes a lot of difference. So the way it is intended to use that, it's a beautiful language, actually. You know. I'm still learning a lot on that, but I'm now much better than 20 years ago. So I can understand a lot of Sanskrit now, you know. So it's a beautiful language. And then it has got this decibel level that is very scientifically proven to be relaxing and also really helps your intellect to grow, your awareness to grow too. So there's a lot of meanings in that, you know. So it's a wonderful language. I wish they had given me as a first language when I was growing up, you know. So some people learn Sanskrit just to go and read those ancient wisdom books because there's a lot of meaning in there, you know. So
that's why I would want to learn it, but I don't know if I have enough time left.
Yeah, it's very difficult language because it's so deep, right? And then probably you have to take a lot of good lessons from people. You can learn them. You know, Germany, they made Sanskrit a big deal. They have so many institutions in Germany. You know, yeah, more than India. They have taken up that Sanskrit a big way. You know?
Latin is required in German high school.
Yeah, probably. You know, that's why.
My wife took Latin, and she comes here to the U.S. and she's like so smart. She was an editor because I guess because of her Latin.
I see. So anyway, something in the chat. I was paying attention. I could not read much. Anybody else in the audience, if you want to come up, please raise your hand and come up and tell us about you and ask questions if you want. But this is
Toxica has some questions about how to handle anxiety.
Yeah. Well, anxiety is also thought built on itself. That's where this calming the mind really helps. Taking deep breaths really cuts down that continuous perpetuation of the thought. And for the anxiety, this practice of deep breathing is very, very good, I mean, real serious anxiety, we start with some medication, but then we take them off after they get used to this deep breathing and relaxing, understanding thought movement and how to control it and all that. There are some organic conditions, that can.
And Dr. Rao, in that respect, the breathing that's really helpful for anxiety, in my understanding, is the breathing that calms your heart down, that slows down your heart.
Yes,
and that breathing is where your exhales are longer than your inhales.
Yeah.
So you take a nice, beautiful breath in, but then when you exhale, you exhale all your air, but you make it longer than your inhale.
Yeah.
And as you do that, you'll notice that your heart rate will start dropping.
Yeah. With anxiety, both
calm you down a little bit.
Yeah, both heart rate and blood pressure go up. But when you take the deep breath, there's a negative cardiac output to the heart. That's why it slows down. Dilatation of the lungs also happen, and so the carbon dioxide that you're going to lose in anxiety, the hyperventilation, will slow down because you are breathing very slowly. So anxiety also, it is conditioned thought also, because it used to be dangers around us. That's why nature has provided a sympathetic fight or flight phenomena, right? So, but nowadays we imagine a lot of dangers, even though they are not really dangerous. In our thinking, we may think danger, and then the triggering happens, and then it becomes a habit. And the longer you go on like that, the worse it becomes. But if you can calm yourself, like I was talking about this morning, morning and evening, and also when you really have something coming at you, giving you a triggering point of anxiety, that's when you want to remember the deep breathing. And then don't react right away. Whatever that comes to your mind, whatever comes to your mouth, don't say that or anything. Just take it easy. And then they always say, take a deep breath, right? So literally at the time, if you do. And one thing we do with the patients is we give them a brown bag. When they are really full-blown anxiety, what happens is they blow out so much of carbon dioxide that becomes a hyperventilation syndrome. So we make them breathe their own air in that brown bag. That way they don't expel the carbon dioxide, it goes back into them. That's a simple measure. Some people try it right after they come to the clinic.
Yeah, that's counterintuitive, Dr. Rao, that carbon dioxide actually helps you. This is something that I learned, that when you're training for marathons or running, breathing only through your nose is helpful because it slows your exhale down.
Yeah.
And slowing your exhale down helps you retain CO2, which is what transports oxygen from your blood to your muscles. So
it's not that simple.
That's why when you're hyperventilating,
yeah,
you feel like you can't get any oxygen. Like I would be running, right? And I'd be like, and I'm going, I need to breathe faster because, I'm not getting any air. Actually, you need to breathe slower.
Yeah.
You need to slow down that exhale so you can build up the CO2. And then the CO2 can help transport the oxygen into your blood.
No. That's not
correct?
That's not it. What it is when you take deep breath, your ventilatory surface opens up much more. Potential ventilations are there. And then gaseous exchange happens very well, so that you get more oxygen inside and more carbon dioxide coming out. Okay. But the thing is, there has to be some amount of carbon dioxide there to stimulate the respiratory center and all. But when you shallow breathe and then you breathe rapidly, then you blow out a lot of carbon dioxide that becomes hypocarbic, we call it. That's a hyperventilation syndrome that feeds on itself, and then you will be blowing more and more of carbon dioxide out, and that's why we give the brown bag when they can really breathe the same air, same carbon dioxide that they're exhaling, it will go back in there. So it has to be a balance, and if oxygen goes low, we call it hypoxia. But if it goes high, hyperexemia. So we want that balance. The carbon dioxide balance. There's a complex mechanism, but the simple thing that they gave to us, breathing can be conscious, can be unconscious. Most of the people sit down in the unconscious, shallow breathing. But when you are consciously breathing, you breathe deep. That's why slow, deliberate, deep breath, like a count to up to 7 count, then hold it for 4 count, and breathe out more than what you inhale. That's why 8 count. So something like that we start, and then slowly we can increase. That's also like muscle. The more you train your lungs, the better they become, the longer the expiration or inspiration can be. You cannot do all of a sudden a very big breath like yogis can do. So you have to train yourself slowly. That's the every day. Do at least some, deep breathing deliberately. Keep your back straight so that the diaphragm comes down and your lungs feel very well. And also close the mouth and take the nose is there for the breathing. You don't want to breathe into your stomach, through the mouth, but you want to breathe through the nose. There are big courses. One course I know, I was telling the other day of somebody, 352 weeks just for breathing course. So you can see how deep it is. It's a big science. Uh, so it's all a question of slow, deep breath, and then also feeling the air coming in and out of your nose, and so that your mind is latched onto your tip of the nose, kind of. So you want to be aware and you want to be slow and deep. When you do the breathing like that, a lot of your energy actually comes from breathing. It's not from the food, but it is the oxygen that goes in, and then all the breakout, everything, right? Then you will have the energy. For example, yoga persons I know, they don't eat 3 meals. They eat only one meal, and that also when they're very very hungry, right? But then they don't have food access that easily. But then what they have access is this deep breathing, and they do a lot of deep breathing all through the day, and that.
Interesting that you just mentioned that. I've been doing, I started doing, I do about 30 minutes or so of breath work in the morning as part of my meditation. And then I do, gratitude practice. And what's really weird is my body is moving towards one meal a day.
Good.
Is that normal?
Yeah, because you don't have to eat according to time, but you eat according to your appetite worked up. Okay, so a lot of people kill their appetite when they eat when they are not hungry. So normal routine of the body is it takes the calories, burns them down, and then when it is ready, it will tell you again when to eat. That's a normal physiological cycle we lost with the civilization. We eat whenever we can. 24 hours people eat these days, snacks and everything, right? So that's not a good thing. Real good thing is have a good breakfast and go and have a light lunch if you have to, and then very light dinner. Then when you get up in the morning, you'll be having a good appetite, and you can eat well. The first meal, if you are working during the day, that is the one which you want to, because if you have followed your diurnal rhythm, that's the physiological cycles of the body. If you are following them, if you are not messing with them, most of the modern lifestyle messes with that, right? That's why people lose that kind of intelligence body, which has its own rhythms and all that. But if you are with them and you are really not imposing your own thought on these things, and then really following the instinctively, then you eat when you are really hungry, or you work up your appetite and then eat a good meal. Don't eat unless you are really, really ravenously hungry. So this is what I do. I don't eat just like that. I have to be really, really hungry to eat any meal. Then it becomes easy.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Carlos. I think I usually spend an hour here. I think we are 1.5 hours here today. That meta shows me the clock also. 1 hour and 18 minutes. We are into that.
So, thank you so much, Dr. Rao.
Yeah.
For these rooms.
Yeah. Mark is there. Can anybody? You guys have any questions you want to ask? Then we'll answer them, and then we leave. I don't want to feel them. We didn't give them a chance. Anything like. Yeah, I think he wants to come up, Mark. Let's bring him up. Yeah, there he is. Hi, Mark. I think you're still muted, Mark. Yeah.
I'm glad you said, because I was talking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, breathing. to me is something always fascinating.
Yeah.
But and I don't like to say this, but because I definitely have a problem of sitting and in this calm meditative state.
Yeah.
Like I walk and talk. I feel calm moving.
Yeah.
I think
you can do walking meditation too, Mark. You know how you do it is focus on each feet touching the floor, right? Be aware of that, and then moving and the breeze, and you be in touch with whatever is interacting with you. You know, so then it will allow you to settle down. Actually, you got to settle down in the body to be able to settle down the mind, and that's why everybody recommends first sit down and then do it. For some people it's not useful. Then walking and while meditating, that is easily done, because you just have to be aware of everything that's going on around you in the walking. Walk, take one step deliberately, and just putting it, you be aware of the foot touching the earth and all that. So that kind of grounding into the present moment can be done while you are walking or while you're sitting. But in sitting down, what happens is body really settles down. So it allows the mind to be more settled down, come to the present and all that. Otherwise, you can sit down and allow the mind to go anywhere. It can go around the world and come back in a second, you know. So, but the purpose of that is just to make yourself more settled in the body first and then the mind. But if you are walking, just be aware of the walk, each movement. You know, you lift the one leg and then place the foot in front of you, and then so you be in touch with that. You know, you be in touch with the movement. You be in touch with the air that is a breeze on your face and all that. So
more than the breathing while you're walking,
yeah,
where you
yeah,
need to also concentrate.
Yeah. First, concentrate on this. Once you get to the present moment, then you automatically attend to your breathing, and then the breathing can be used as a hook for you to be in the present. That means you are aware your breathing is shallow or deep. You are aware the touch of the air on the tip of the nose, and then that itself brings you to the present moment. Then you focus on how deep, how slow I'm breathing, how deep and slow I'm breathing out. And sometimes later on, we teach people about not only breathing in and out, but in between holding the air for a few seconds. Actually, this is very energetic. I have a routine where I teach people how to be instantly energetic. That is, taking the deep breath in and holding it. That's called kumbhaka in yoga. And then slowly letting it go, and that you want to slowly, you don't want to do too much holding, because that increases the blood pressure. Like a 7 count, you're going to take a deep breath in slowly. 4 count, you hold it, or 2 count, whatever you can. Don't be in the stress though. And then 8 count, you are breathing out. So that kind of slowness slowly makes you come to the present moment much, much, much better.
Thank you.
Yeah. Actually, I was teaching them a simple technique, Mark. You know, when you sit down in the chair, keep your feet on the floor. Make sure your toes, your sole, and your heels, everything touching the floor, and then keep them both side by side stationary. Then straighten your back, and then just to close your mouth and close your eyes also if you want, and then focus on the air coming in like a 7 count, and then when you really reach it, abdomen must have come out. Okay, that's a deep breath, right? In. And then when you breathe out, the abdomen goes towards the spine, right? And you always breathe out more than you breathe in. So 7 count breathing in, maybe 8 count breathing out. You know, initially it will be like that, but later on you don't have to count also. You just breathe in as much as you can, and then hold it if you can, and then breathe out slowly. But your attention will be on the touch of the air on the airline as the tip of the nose. That means your thoughts are tied there. Your mind is tied there. And that's how you calm your mind like that, the deep breathing. So this is what I call present moment breathing baked, PMBB. And I want my doctors who are born out the present moment breathing break. That is done by deep breathing and holding the thought in the present moment. I tell my doctors who are burned out, who come through my coaching, take 1 minute every hour to do this PMBB. And that's simple, right? They don't have to go anywhere. They can do anywhere without anybody noticing it. But then basically, they are not allowing the mind to run. They are allowing the mind to take a break and come to the present. And then being in the present, use the thought, use everything, and go. Otherwise, the thought builds a network out by itself, and that becomes a very torture later on for some people. That's why you want to be in the present and use the thought. Want to be in awareness and use the thought. Is that clear, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It is at our disposal. We don't have to spend anything. Actually, we help our oxygenation, we help our metabolism, we help our energy because we are not allowing unnecessary thoughts go all over. So that's why conserving those thoughts conserves your energy. And then you will be like that all through the day. And the end of the day, if you are doing this deep breathing several times, you will notice you are not fatigued. You don't have the brain fog and all that. But you have to do that. It's not just understanding. Do them in real life. Just employ deep breathing as a friend for you and go into that whenever you can. And that I do it in the middle of the medical meetings. Everybody talking, I'll be just doing for a couple of minutes. That's it. And then I'll be back to the present moment. Actually, it becomes much more like that. Yeah.
Every time I listen to you, and I'm sorry I have to repeat it because I have to remember it, but I always learn something new.
Yeah.
Like taking a break every hour, because what happens is I'll do my meditation in the morning, but then as the day goes on, I don't take any other breaks.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And then eventually that all builds up. But if you take once an hour, you just take a little tiny break, like you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh!
Remember this. This is like a spider. What does the spider do? It spits out the material for the net, right? And then what happens with that? The net is formed by throwing it, and then it gets caught in. Like that also, we allow our thought to form a network and we get caught in that. We don't have to. We want to use the thought efficiently, but don't want to be dictated by it. You see? That kind of.
Yeah, the thought becomes a tool.
Yeah.
Rather than something that's
exactly.
Use thoughts as tools.
Yeah.
By being in the present moment.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happens with a lot of people. They get succumbed by the excesses, and then all the social media rooms and everything that we do can be like a continuously rotating circle. Instead, just
and that's why you feel exhausted. Like, I'm sure the audience has felt this. Like, people say, "Why do I get depressed watching social media or whatever?" You know why?
Yeah.
Because you're getting bombarded with all this negative, usually a lot of negativity.
Exactly.
And now you're filling your brain with all this negative energy, right? And then you're supposed to go and relax, and go to bed.
Yeah, it's a kind of it's kind of that's why I call the morning wellness club that we do. That I call it as exercise in awareness. Be in the awareness and do everything. That becomes very, very, very energetic, very good also. Kannan, is this?
And we have. I know you have to go, Dr. Rao.
No, Kannan is here. So I want to invite him to talk.
Joyce? I don't know.
Joyce, I know.
Joyce, you've met Dr. Rao, but
I
put her on the spot because I was.
I know. I know Joyce. We go to several rooms together, so lots of. I know her very well.
Okay, Joyce is in.
Yeah.
Know her.
Hi, Joyce. If you want to come up, please come up. I think Kanan is here. So,
good evening, Doctor.
hi.
Always a pleasure to hear you.
Yeah.
And there are certain things which I've practiced. I thought I will also narrate almost on the lines what you mentioned.
Yeah.
And early in the morning, whenever I have an opportunity, say I go out and do the walking as Mark says. But what I do is maybe remove my sandals and then walk on the grass.
Yeah.
And slowly.
Yeah.
That gives you sort of, a lot of comfort to the feet and the entire body cools down.
Very good.
Then slow breathing.
Yeah.
And one more thing I practice, which of course all over the world we are all traveling, either we are in the driver's seat or we are in the rear seat. I'm sure there will be moments when the traffic stops or signals or something. So even for that half a minute or 30 seconds or 45 seconds, I just close my eyes for a few seconds and then have deep breathing. Yeah. And deep. So you don't have to actually take time out everywhere. Yeah. Opportunities are available. Yeah. And that has given me a lot of. That's when I play games. I play 1 or 2 games. Go sit down separately. Just about 5 to 10. Deep breathing. Hold for a few seconds. But of course, since I've been doing for the last 5 years. Very good. I reach to the count of say 10. Hold for about 15, 20, and then breathe out for around 20. Yeah. And that has given me huge relief and just sort of rejuvenated my. I have actually lost weight also. Yeah. It's feeling so fresh that even today morning I went around 5:30. And of course, I'm in India right now. Yeah. And it's pretty nice to go around at 5:30 in the morning and go in the grass. I think this breathing exercise gives solutions to 50% of the problems. Yeah. Yeah, I taught my son Kanan when I told him this breathing break. He said, I don't get the time and all. Then I told him, you'll be driving to work, right? Yeah. At the time, just use this time just to breathe deep. And he started to do that. And later on, he kind of, he works with little kids. He's a band teacher, right? So he was working with the kids, and then kids are also calm because he is calm. And now he's teaching them to how to deep breathe. That's very good, So another thing I want to say, Kanan, when you are doing that, in the, what is this, in car traffic, in the traffic when you're in the car, I recommend people to do the both you come up on the toes and go down and come up with the heels, like you are bicycling, that is important because the calf muscles we call in yoga as the second heart, because they are the one which pump venous blood and also lymph up, right? So that's why those muscles are to be like a second heart, we call them. They're that important. So if you don't want stasis of blood in the extremities, whenever you are forced to prolong sitting, just go on the toes, raise the both heels, and then come down both heels, and then now toes go up like that. That kind of exercise gives a real good calf muscles are really working, and you'll have good venous flow. That's a very important thing too. Actually, I teach a sitting routine for people who are in the office, who are executives, or who are traveling in the car or airplane airway. Actually, I promote the sitting down exercises very much. This is only one part. There's so many other things that I made them do. And that way, there is a head-to-toe program I have that we can do sitting down, standing, or lying down. So if you do that 5 to 10 minutes, your whole body is revitalized with the yogic exercise. The principles are the same. Again, you do each joint, and then you do with the breathing in and out, and with awareness, being here and now. So those principles, if you do this, it doesn't become an obsession. It becomes a nice, healthy habit, and then you do it without even really attempting. The moment you are sitting down, like I take a long flight, like a 4 hours or 6 hours, something like that.
then I usually get up and then do the lumbering, and also when I'm sitting down, I will do a lot of exercise. When the plane is traveling, we sit down and do them, right? So I kind of do that, and lots of times it takes away all the fatigue for me, because it is associated with the deep breathing, not just exercise done for each joint, but the deep breathing, which makes me really not to develop the fatigue. I don't have the travel sickness anymore for the last 20 years or so. Before I used to. Then after I learned this, after I learned some other things, I don't have the jet lag or travel sickness, none of that. That's a wonderful thing, right? To have that. Get that. Alrighty.
I've actually never tried this in the flights.
Yeah.
But now that I'll be traveling a long distance,
yeah,
maybe I'll do this right now.
Yeah.
Thanks for the wonderful tips.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you, Doctor.
Sure. Yeah. See, we have to find opportunities within our living or within our work patterns, because if you want to make separate time and separate place, lots of times people are not having that. But if you can show them within their work, that's what I do. I take very a lot of pride in that. If I see somebody, they tell me about all this, then I tell them, okay, and let me see your work routine. And they tell me, then I would say them opportunities. Suppose there are stairs, why don't you use them? Suppose the long corridors, why don't you walk them? Suppose your car is parked away from your workplace, then walk to it, like that. Suppose your stairs are used to you, then take 2 steps at a time. Then it will. Today morning also, I was watching a game, and also I had opportunity. There was staircase there, so I went 5 times up and down. That becomes my exercise. Simple. So we can take advantage of the surroundings and incorporate these routines, and especially the deep breathing. If you can make it like this is important for me, let me do it. I think that becomes more habit. The thing is, the deep breathing has to be done over a time. Okay, to develop that 15, 20 seconds, what you're talking about, Kannan. Not everybody can do that. And also it's harmful also. It's not very good. Also, underlying conditions like asthma, COPD, smoking, so obesity, so many things are there, right? So that's why you have to start slowly, but you have to increase it in increments slowly, and then you do it daily. Then they get used to it, and then later on it becomes much easier. The thing is, the deeper you are able to do, the more energetic you feel. So then you are hooked to that, and then nobody need to teach you anything. You yourself feel like, oh, I'm very exhausted today. Let me just do my pranayama breathing, and then they do it, and immediately they come out of that. So modern life doesn't allow all these things, because they think these are all painful things, and let me go and watch some TV or something like that. So you got to kind of get away from the creature comforts, and then allow these healthy habits develop within our regular routines. Where are you, Kanan? Which state you live in?
No, I live in Maharashtra.
Maharashtra.
Today I'm in Jaipur.
Okay.
And
Oh.
I'll be traveling to Canada.
Yeah. I was in Jaipur. I was in 3 different palaces. Okay. Wonderful place.
I'm right now in one of them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what you said is true. About 5-6 years ago, when I started this, that time I could hardly breathe in, hold it for 4
yeah.
seconds, and then
See?
I shut
Yeah.
it down. Now
yeah.
I can comfortably do it for about 20-25 seconds. I can hold.
Yeah.
I can breathe out for almost about 25-20 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's very, it's become now almost like a second nature to me. Wherever I can opportunity.
Yeah. If I may say about myself, Kanan, I'm 68 now, right? Half the age doctors can't keep up with me. They ask me, what is that you drink? What is that you take? And I say, I don't take any medication. I don't drink, and I don't smoke, anything like that. But, apart from the exercises and keeping the mind clean, breathing is very, very, very important, I think. That's why I teach everybody, at least breathe 1 minute every hour. You don't have, nobody have to say you Just you take the deep breath and let it be slow, deep, and really measured, conscious. Then it will be wonderful for them. So I make everybody do that.
I wish I started 10 years ago. I'm almost your age.
Yeah.
So I'm on 67.
Uh,
But I wish I started earlier. Then probably I will look only 45.
yeah.
Even today I play about 5-6 games of badminton.
You see,
Mainly because yeah.
this breathing thing is so valuable. I mean, there's so much deeper understanding of this. But you don't have to also. Everybody can be consciously breathe. And then the only thing is some of the physiological benefits of sitting tall and then making the diaphragm come down is very important. So if you just remember that, and breathe through the nose, that is important too. But there are certain breathing that you have to do through the mouth for different reasons. Actually, in the morning wellness club, when I do in the morning and the evening, I do 10 different breathing exercises. Just to show the people they can pick up a couple of them and do that. They're called Kapalabhati is one, Anulom Vilom is other one, and then Brahmari. These three, if you do them even for a few minutes, enormous benefit, lot of benefit. So I always tell people that I don't take any medications, not with some pride or anything, but tell the modern medicine can keep us long life, but to live well with energy and with joy, I think ancients have a lot of things that they have implemented. And once they understood properly and then do them slowly and steadily and make them, because if you don't do all these things from childhood, we will gather all the bad habits of the modern civilization. And that becomes very hard on people, like there's obesity, like this diabetes, like this weakness of the body, all those things happen, right? But then once you understand, we have to knead the body, like really knead like a bread. And then as you are reading it, if you deep breathe, the demand of oxygen that you have manufactured at the distant muscles, and that is satisfied by this deeply breathing, well oxygenated blood going there. That is the science behind it. So how they discovered all these things and all, that's a different thing. But then what are the effects on our metabolism and physiology? That's definitely, as a doctor, I understood much better. That's my luck, I think. I'm both a modern doctor and also ancient wisdom student. So both are combination works very well, I think. I kind of pass it on to my patients as much as possible, and some people adopt it very well. Some people take it and then they forget about it after a while. Ella is here too. Hi, Ella. You want to come up and say hello to us? So Ella is somebody who does the meditation classes and all the time. So I think she knows what I'm talking about. So I'll invite her, see if she wants to come. Angela is here too. All the friends coming now. So that's good. Angela does gardening quite a bit. So we were talking about that the other day. And how gardening itself is very good for us. So that is it. Hi, Angela. How are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm good. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm going very good. Yeah. No problem.
Okay. So what you talking about tonight?
Yeah, we were talking about so many things. We went pretty deep with Carlos. Because Carlos, he was a student of mine in my wellness club also, and a friend also. So we talked about his work. He does greenhouses, which I like very much because he helps the planet and also helps other people, right? So we were talking about that. And we talked a little deeper into mind workings and how you understand information overload, how to go with our own tricks on beating that information overload effects and all that. So we were, I think, more than 1.5 hours we were talking about things. So,
I love your profile pic, Angela. It's beautiful.
I love yours too. I have a world that I have headphones and a speaker mouth connected to it that I'm going to be using for my other book. And I had to just move a lot of my plants because it's, the temperature change, so it's starting to actually bother some of them. Yeah.
You look like a goddess, Angela. So,
say that again.
You look like a goddess,
Oh, thanks.
In India, there are these goddesses that they say, I know with all this Mid-Journey. Did you make it on Mid-Journey?
Yes, I made it on Mid-Journey. It's also part of, it is the goddess. It's, one is a Moorish chief.
Yeah.
It's mixed with Moorish chief and his wife, as with the castle. His castle is made of gold.
Yeah.
And marble and burgundy. So that's where those colors come in at.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the team I was running with, we was doing something with lions. Yeah. The lion wave. Very cool. Because I don't think a lot of people didn't know Moorish chief. He's black, and he had a castle, and his castle was made of gold and marble.
Huh. Yeah. Anyway, I was talking about the calming your mind exercise also, and hopefully people are doing it. If they have any questions, they can always reach me, and I'll be more than happy to share with them whatever I know about the breathing exercises. Are you doing that, Angela? Do you do the breathing exercises now?
Do I do what? I'm sorry, I went to step
breathing exercise, like we are talking about, how to calm our minds with.
Oh yes, I do breathing exercise. Yeah. I was also doing the one you suggested. Take one breath every minute and breathe.
Yeah.
Yes, I told somebody else that today just as well.
Yeah.
Because it was silent and it was like, no one's going to talk. I said, why don't you take this time to either go get you something to drink or something to eat? Because they've been on Clubhouse. It was on Clubhouse because I just came back on it. Yeah. Or even just breathe, just enjoy that much. Yeah.
Actually, I suggested to somebody to, when they reset the room, use that occasion to do a couple of breaths, deep breaths. Maybe audience will catch on to that and they'll feel happy about it. I think Ella may be doing that. She does meditation rooms, I know. But resetting could be opportunity for people to do a couple of deep breaths and then feel good about themselves. Now, I kind of introduced my friends on online conferencing, and they are all doing that. They start the meeting with this mild exercise and deep breathing, and in the middle, and also when they want to take a coffee break or something, they do that. And also, I was doing it with my medical conferences at one time. And people now using it because the burnout is so common in the medical profession. So people are now getting training for that. But it's a hectic atmosphere. People will be running with everything. So you cannot do by the clock, but then you got to remember to take a break during the daytime, especially with this information overload, so I do it. So I tell other people also to do it. I have to send you that poem, Angela. I promise you. I kind of not finding it. I don't know where I kept it, but it should be in my message or somewhere. This is about the flower. Angela is a gardener, so we were talking about garden and the planet and all that, right? There, I remember I got remembrance of this poem that was written as a all these flowers. When somebody goes there to pluck them, they all kind of open their mouth and say, "Why are you hurting us? What did we do?" And the way it is all goes on is a wonderful. There's a conversation, there's an appeal by the flowers to this man who is going to pluck them, So it's a beautiful poem. I was telling her about that. I will send it, Angela. I will find it and send it to you. Okay. So I did not forget, but I could not find it so far. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be waiting. That was the book cover, so I'll be adding that poem. Some of the things, I'm going to recreate with it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show Carlos, because Carlos, did you do your picture on the journey too? I don't know if you can hear, but anyway, that was the picture I was telling you about, Carlos.
Yeah, that's also a planet. He does this greenhouses, right? So appropriate for him, So the Earth Day happened the other day. People really celebrated and sent me greetings about that and all that. That's pretty good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
It was weird. My microphone went out. I guess a glitch in the program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Angela, I made that on Midjourney also.
Mm-hmm.
I embrace the AI. In fact, I used to work on AI. My master's thesis was on neural networks. So yeah, I'm very much into it, obviously, but I didn't practice it for a very long time. And then all of a sudden, it's all the hit with Midjourney, et cetera. So I popped back into it. And I was very interested to learn that it really hasn't changed much from back when I was doing it. They've just got, bigger networks now. And of course, they're still trying to get to general intelligence, which, is, I guess, the big thing. But yeah, I've been using ChatGPT. It helped me actually on a grant pitch that I was doing for the National Science Foundation. And, the way I look at it, it's an incredible tool because, it allowed me to, in about a few hours, to submit a grant that probably would have taken me forever to do on, if I didn't have it. And basically, I would input all the technical specifications, and then I would have it generate the paragraphs for the different parts of the application. So, I'm embracing it, because people say, well, you're an attorney, you could be replaced. The funny thing is I want to be replaced. I want all humans to collaborate and solve every problem on Earth is what I want.
Yeah, Carlos, I agree with you. I also embraced the artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and we did with a group. We were 2-week challenge was given, and today is the last day to submit. So I submitted way early than what I thought, because I was using so many tools, right? I'm not against that kind of technology to empower. What I say, in the implementation of the technology, don't lose our mind. That's all I'm saying.
What I say is, imagine all humans focusing on one problem and leveraging all technology available to humankind. We would have paradise Earth in a year. The deserts could be greened, which means you could have plenty of land for. Everybody says population is the problem. It's actually resources. If we greened all the deserts, all of a sudden we have food, and then we have underneath the sea, we have on top of the sea, we have in between land and our atmosphere, and then we have after our atmosphere. And we haven't even developed, any of that. So I have hope that we humans, get our shit together and solve everything, because we can.
See, I always remember this saying: unless there is a revolution in the consciousness of people, we will be consumers. We will be really using a lot of earth resources. There is no tomorrow, and really there is no tomorrow now. But still, I think we can use technology to solve the problems technology can create, or the technology can be used by bad guys, and then things can happen. But meanwhile, me using this artificial intelligence freed up so much time. I was able to be more of my spiritual practices of mindfulness, or just being in the dhyana or samadhi and all those things, is much more. So I have more time now because all the redundant, mundane things are done by the technology, and they're done pretty very speedily too, and that leaves me a lot of time that I can work on my body and mind and enjoy the things I do. And I think it's all in all very significant technological change in our lifetimes, probably. I think such a big thing this is, and people are better to embrace it and work with it, and then understand what are the problems that can come up, and then be active participant of resolving those problems. That's what I believe. Anyway, thank you all. I think we are coming up to the other hour, and people are calling me for dinner. I thank you all for coming up. And
you're too popular, Dr. Rao. Thank you so much for the room. I appreciate you very much.
I will see you again tomorrow, 7 p.m. again. So I think that will be 33rd day. I plan to do it for 40 days on this calming the mind, and then we go from there. Okay, thank you.
Truly appreciate you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Nice meeting everybody. I gave you a follow, Angela, and I think I'm already following E. Yes, of course. Awesome. You guys have a wonderful night.
Okay. Thanks, Ella, Joyce. Yeah. Bye-bye now.